Okay, I'm going to try to do this in under 10 minutes. Three things happen, and when three things happen, I work in threes. Depending on what it is, I have to implement some form of change. And the three things I'm referring to here are three things that astonished me. And for clarity's sake, I'll briefly dabble into the first two events because that's where I'm coming from, is my astonishment. And the first event was my astonishment to find years later that people close to me, people I thought were well informed, had no idea that on 9/11 a third building fell. And this whole recording is not going to be 9/11 or really much about it, except for the astonishment that most people had no idea what I thought was common knowledge. And that is true with all three of these events. The second event is one that I can implement on you, the listener, right now, in fact. Is America at war? Now, I have no way of gathering, I wish I did, the answers that everybody that listening would say and just gave me. But I'm fairly confident, at least in August 2010, that the answer, generally speaking, is going to be, yeah, of course we are, obviously we are. When that's where my astonishment comes rolling in, because I don't want to get too in depth in this. I want to move primarily to the third event, but technically, when you look at the structure of our government in this country, we're not at war. If you think that war on drugs is an actual war, then okay, the war on terror is an actual war. But if you look for something more concrete or substantial, like an actual declaration of war, Congress was a delegated authority for making that declaration, and Congress has not made a declaration of war since World War II. So technically, we are not at war. Now on to the third event. The third event is illegal immigration. And I'm astonished that even in the circles that I debate, the people I exchange ideas with, more people are concerned about playing the blame game and pointing fingers and calling people names than they are about the actual ideas and solutions. And a good rule of thumb that I use when getting political, because you have to unfortunately speak in general terms so often, is great minds talk about ideas. Average minds talk about events, with the simple minds talking about other people. And even though that's a generality in itself, it's a good principle I try politically to keep in the forefront of my mind to keep me focused. And so, illegal immigration, as I see all circles talking about it because it's becoming a rising issue, it astounds me that nobody's focusing on how to make it a non-issue. So the rest of this recording is going to focus on making illegal immigration a non-issue again. And the first step, or the first thing I will mention, is an analogy. Let's say you walk into your house and you have a leak, a busted pipe under your sink. Now, two things about that. The first thing is if you have a busted pipe under your sink, you're not going to focus all your attention and energy upon cleaning up all the water while the leak is still going on and water's dripping on your head. Okay? The other point I want to make is your end result, your expectation of fixing this leak is to have running water. Okay? You don't want to, come out of this with no running water. Immigration is a good thing. For a prosperous country and economy, it's a good thing. It's a positive, not a negative. And also, the bad illegal immigrants that are here are not the current concern, even though I understand it. There's violence and there's things that definitely do have to be taken care of, and that's where we bring the 3 steps in. The 3 steps are: you have to enforce some laws, you have to get rid of other laws, and then, as silly as it sounds, you have to change or modify, ratify current existing laws. So the first step of enforcing the laws is you take our military, our federal armies, which were created solely for the intent of securing and protecting our borders, and you put them to their initial use. Instead of being in other countries fighting primarily a war on terror, you have them do their initial use and substantially, or bring a substantial amount of them back home, if not all of them. And I think our military can feasibly and efficiently protect our borders. So you stop the leak. That's the first step. Now we go to the second step. Now that the leak is stopped, we work on those inflammatory, the things that are inflaming and exponentially growing as a bad thing when it deals with illegal immigration. And the way that you neuter this problem is you abolish all drug laws, or even more precisely, any law in which it tries to prohibit or prevent, or even better in doublespeak, protect an individual from a choice he or she makes to themselves is, and keyword themselves, is taken off the table completely. It shouldn't exist in a free society. It's a hypocritical thing for such laws to even exist. And so when you implement this, then the inflammatory parts of illegal immigration will become null and void. In fact, the drug cartels will be impotent, because you will give the opportunity to our private sector here at home again, and so they'll benefit. The government's still going to get its revenue, and the people are going to be able to, here in this country, are going to be able to do supply and demand again, which is one of the founding things that made this country great. But it's the third step that really seals the deal in illegal immigration and really throws it out the window to not come back in the minds of the people. And the way that you go about this is you get rid of the personal income tax. And that's the truth of the matter. I'm not saying this because I'm an anarchist, because I'm not. And I'm not saying this because I'm completely against all taxation, because I'm not. That would be nice, but that's a dreamland. That would not work. This is where my astonishment comes in, that more people in the circles of my debate do not focus upon how getting rid of the personal income tax will benefit and correct the illegal immigration. Because the problem is, people are having to work more and more and more to give the government money to provide that government revenue, in which the government takes that revenue to spend on people it doesn't govern and things that it doesn't govern. And that's the problem, that individuals in this country are looking upon other individuals in this country, whether it's Jose or it's Muhammad or it's Sang Shu or whoever, and saying, are you a legal immigrant? Because, and that's where it really inflames. And I could go on and on about these points, but I've only 10 minutes, so I can put it on YouTube so everybody can, easily listen to it and whatnot. So I hope that I have sufficiently outlined a way to get rid of illegal immigration as an issue, and I sincerely thank you for listening.